There's this one person, maybe at a social, maybe at a festival, maybe in your weekly dance class. You dance with them. Afterwards, you can't stop thinking about it. Not about the dance, about them. And you go to the next social and look around. Are they there? You dance with others, but you compare. You check their profile. You find reasons to be near them. And at the same time, you ask yourself, what is this? Am I in love or am I just imagining it? I'll tell you what it is. And the answer is more uncomfortable than you think. Because this person doesn't make you addicted because they're special. They make you addicted because your brain makes them special. And that is a huge difference. Welcome to Bachata Cafe, a podcast about dance, intimacy, and psychology. I'm Eddie. Welcome to episode 16 of Bachata Cafe. In the last two episodes, we learned why we develop feelings on the dance floor that feel real, even though they are often an illusion. And why we keep attracting the same pattern over and over again. Today and next week, we will wrap up this three-part series. This episode is a two-parter because the topic is too important to cover in just 20 minutes. And today, it's about the 5 types that make you addicted on the dance floor. You'll probably recognize them, and maybe you'll even see yourself in them. Next week, it's about why these types work so well and what happens in your system, and how you can get out of it again. Let's get started. Let's go. Vamonos. Who has ever had a dance and couldn't sleep afterwards? Who has ever caught themselves checking someone's profile after dancing with them? Who goes to socials and hopes secretly that this one person will be there? I bet almost everyone, myself included. And it applies to everyone. No matter if you lead or follow. No matter if you've been dancing for 3 months or 10 years. You dance with 30, 40, 50 people in one evening. You forget 99% of them. Within 10 minutes, an hour. But one person sticks with you, lingers, stays on your mind. Even days later, you're still thinking about them. What does this one person do differently? Most people tend to think it is just the technique, the physical looks, the natural chemistry, or best of all, it is simply a matter of fate. Or wrong. It's neurochemistry, and it has almost nothing to do with the person themselves. Before I explain the 5 types, a few quick basics, because without them, we won't be able to fully understand the types. So, the neurochemical principle behind all 5 types is the same. It's called the variable reward system. And your brain doesn't react most strongly to constant rewards. It reacts most strongly to unpredictable rewards. So imagine this. You have a vending machine, and every time you press the button, you get €1. That's predictable, that's constant. So what happens? You just press it whenever you find yourself in need of €1. There is no compulsion, no urge, no obsession, and no fixation. And now imagine the machine sometimes gives you €1, sometimes €5, and sometimes nothing at all. So it's completely unpredictable. What happens? If you don't stop pressing, you can't stop pressing. You don't know when the next reward will come, but you know it will come. Eventually. And that's the principle behind gambling addiction, behind toxic relationships, behind social media, and behind the person on the dance floor who won't let you go. And all 5 types activate this principle, but in different ways. And that's exactly what makes them so interesting. But first, an important distinction, because I think many people often misunderstand this. There are two completely different types of unpredictability on the dance floor, but only one of them is addictive, and that's the second one. The first is technical unpredictability. Yes, a leader prepares a situation. And from this preparation, several possible options now arise. It could lead into a turn, it could go into a side wave. You can change the rhythm or some other isolation might come up. You don't know what's coming, but several things are possible. The follower knows that something is coming. They've been prepped after all. But not what it is. And that forces the follower to really listen. And that helps both of them develop further. And each of us knows these situations where the follower often thinks, yes, now I'm in this position, so surely this or that is coming next. And then sometimes things get tangled up because the leader had something else in mind, but the follower thought that a certain situation was about to happen. But it helps both of them develop because the follower then learns, okay, there is something else possible. And the leader then realizes, maybe I should have led more clearly. Maybe I should have made it even clearer, somehow more obvious. And that's why this is something very, very positive. But technical unpredictability, it's not addictive. It ends with the song. And then the system is simply satisfied. It's not hungry for more. And the second one is emotional unpredictability. Today, extreme warmth, tomorrow, coldness. Today, fully present, tomorrow, no longer existent. There is no recognizable pattern. No prediction is possible. That is the actual addiction mechanism. And it has nothing to do with dance technique. And with this basic knowledge, we can now discuss the 5 types. Type number 1. The warm-cold type. This is the most classic and I think the most common mechanism on the dance floor because this person gives extreme connection or connection during the dance. They have a genuine gaze. It feels like you're the only person in the room. Complete presence. And after the song, distance, coldness, as if the dance never happened. And tomorrow, warmth again. The day after tomorrow, coldness again. There is no recognizable pattern. And what happens in the brain? It's a cycle of reward and withdrawal. This is the classic variable reward system. And this applies to both genders. And the brain learns that the warmth will return. Eventually. And this knowledge makes it impossible to stop searching. And this person doesn't have to be technically skilled. They can dance simply. Always the same moves. But dependencies still develop because the brain doesn't respond to dance quality. It responds to patterns. And who doesn't know this? Someone at a social who sometimes gives you everything and other times just looks right through you as if you were invisible. If you enjoy the podcast, follow Bachata Cafe and become part of our Bachata community. Type number 2, the mirror type. This type is more subtle and often more dangerous because the mirror type operates differently, not by withholding, but by giving perfectly. They intuitively sense what the other person needs, what they want to hear, what they're missing. To the insecure, they give the feeling that you're the best dancer in the room. To the lonely, you are truly seen. And to the seeker, that's you. That's it. And it doesn't feel like addiction, it feels like coming home or as if you finally arrived. And that's exactly the problem. Because no one who is truly authentic always mirrors perfectly what the other person needs. That's not a real connection. That's just your own image being reflected back to you. You don't love this person. You love yourself in the image that the other person shows you. Who becomes dependent on the mirror type? These are people who are still unsure of themselves, who seek validation, who need the feeling of being seen because they don't yet fully see themselves. And that doesn't make the mirror type bad. Often, they themselves are searching for admiration, for the feeling of simply being indispensable. Type number 3, the status type. This is the type that many people don't have on their radar because the mechanism doesn't lie in the dance itself, but rather this person is socially dominant in the scene. They are well known, respected, always surrounded by others, and many want to dance with them, and they get to choose. And what happens when they choose someone? The brain registers not just the dance, it registers the social significance of the dance. I was chosen, I belong, I am good enough. And this activates the reward system not through neurochemistry or physical contact, but through social validation and the feeling of having risen in a hierarchy. And the less often this person dances, that is, the more selective they are, the stronger the effect. Because rarity creates desire. And what is scarce appears more valuable. And who doesn't know this? The person at the social event whom everyone wants to dance with. And when it's finally your turn, it feels like a win. Even if the dance itself was just average. Type number 4, the presence type. This is the rarest type and also the most genuine one. And this person doesn't use any mechanism. They are simply fully present. There's no mental movie, no self-observation, no performance. It's simply this dance, this moment, the person in front of you. And genuine presence on the dance floor is so rare that the brain immediately registers it as something special, as something it simply wants to experience again. And the difference is, it doesn't create a destructive pull or vortex, but it does create a deep desire for repetition. Because real presence is something that nourishes presence. It feeds you, it gives you something. And of course, you want to have nourishment again. And the difference compared to the hot-cold type or the mirror type is that with the presence type, you feel fuller afterwards. You don't feel emptier, not hungrier, but simply fuller. And that's the distinction we'll be exploring in more depth next week. How do you recognize the difference between a genuine desire for repetition and addiction? Okay, let's move on to the last type, number 5. This is the combination type. This is the most dangerous one. Because this is the person who combines everything. They have status, they are well known and respected. Emotional unpredictability, sometimes warm, sometimes cold. Occasionally perfect mirroring when it benefits them. And a real physical presence that instantly activates the system. And this person can destabilize an entire scene or community because everyone wants to dance with them. No one knows when it's their turn. And when it is your turn, it feels like a divine gift. And afterwards, everything else just seems pale in comparison. It fades compared to everything else around. Incomparable. And this is not conscious manipulation, at least most of the time. This is the result of a person who is made up of many wounds and strengths. And this person has learned that this combination attracts attention. And they live off of that without knowing why. And once you've danced with this type of person, even a simple good dance can seem dull for a long time afterwards. And that's the sign that something has happened. And once again, a reminder, this really applies to both genders, not just one side. And now comes the part that most people want to skip. We have now described the 5 types. And the question that now arises is, who on the dance floor becomes addicted? And who makes others addicted? And the honest answer is, most people are both. Just at different times with different people. You can be type 2, the mirror type. So you can be type 2 for someone who is seeking validation. And at the same time, you can be type 3, which is the status type. So simultaneously, type 3, you can idolize them because you yourself are seeking social validation. And that's not a contradiction. That's human. Humans possess the ability to adapt, just by the way, for the record. And the crucial question is not, am I a type? But rather, do I recognize the pattern in myself and in others? Because if you recognize the pattern, then you have a choice. If you don't recognize it, you simply react. You are at its mercy. And that happens again and again every time with the same people with the same results. Keyword, heartbreak. The resonance principle from episode 15. You don't attract the person you want. You attract the one who matches your inner world. And that applies here as well. The type of person you attract says something about you. The type of person you are also says something about you. Both are information, not judgment. Now you know who the 5 types are. Maybe you recognize someone, maybe you recognize yourself in them, maybe both. But I haven't yet explained to you why all of this works so well. So, what exactly happens in your system when you dance with this type? Which 5 signals activate the brain so strongly that it can't let go? How can you tell the difference between real connection and addiction activation right after the moment or the next day? And the most important question, how do you get out of it? How do you get out when you realize you're stuck or trapped in one of these patterns? That will be covered next week in part 2. And I promise you, once you've listened to part 2, that is episode 17, you'll never look at the dance floor the same way again. Question for the comments section, and I want the most honest answers. Which of the 5 types do you recognize in someone you know, or maybe even in yourself? Write it down in the comments below. I read everything. That was the Bachata Cafe. I'm Eddie. See you next week. If you enjoyed this episode, send it to a dancer from your bachata community. Write in the comments what your thoughts are on today's topic. And if you want to learn more about bachata, connection, and psychology, follow the Bachata Cafe. If you want to be part of the Bachata Cafe community, we'll see each other on the dance floor.